Hey, everybody, how are you? This is Jim Prusak, physiotherapist from the Pain PT. And today I want to talk about the idea of the word challenge. It's a really important word that I talk about at times for what you're going through and also for your recovery. So we take the word challenge on the side of what it's your symptoms, your condition is doing to you. I like to think of this as it's challenging you, right? Your symptoms, your chronic symptoms, your chronic pains, whatever you're dealing with is a challenge. It's challenging you in a lot of ways, both physically, mentally, and also emotionally. And so when we have a challenge here, what can happen is when your symptoms are challenging you, and when they're coming from your brain and nervous system, they're going to be infused with those elements of a physical challenge, mentally challenging, emotionally challenging. And what we want to learn to do is flip the challenge. I call this flipping the challenge around, where we start to challenge it. Okay, we're being challenged by symptoms. We start to challenge symptoms. And there's a good reason for this. We'll talk about it. So when you're challenged by your symptoms, meaning when the symptoms are having control over you, when you're challenged by them, a lot of times people become very negative. They become more helpless, hopeless. They become more fearful, more worried, more timid. And in a way, the symptom is taking over. It has control over the person. And then in a way, the symptom starts to get worse or it sticks around and it has a staying power. Okay. And it really does challenge us to live our lives in the way we want. So when I say flip the challenge, what I mean is we take that word of us being challenged by what's happening and we turn around and challenge it. We're going to challenge your symptoms mentally, physically, emotionally. Okay. And the reason why we can do this with these chronic somatic symptoms is because they are not, and I repeat this, they are not typically structural symptoms like we see in acute pain or acute symptoms. They're not caused by something wrong in the body, let's say, that needs to be treated physically. These are brain and nervous system driven symptoms caused by the brain and traveling down through your autonomic nervous system into your body. So in a way, they're not structural. We don't need to be worried that we're going to injure or harm or damage our bodies by challenging it. So on a physical level, we can start to challenge these symptoms. And I think that's really important because what happens is I tell people we're living on our back foot with these conditions. We're on our back foot. We're being controlled by, we're being scared by, we're timid, we're tepid. We're not moving forward with our lives. We're stuck. Okay. We want to start living on your front foot. Tell people when you live on your front foot, you're coming forward, you're moving forward, you're leaning into it, you're challenging it, And the word challenge is also one of the words included in the facing state. We talked about being able to face what you're dealing with here. We don't want to fight it. We don't want to flee it. We don't want to freeze up in the face of it. We want to face it. So to get into this right facing state for these conditions, the word challenge comes to mind. So we're going to challenge your conditions physically. I'll give you an example of this recently for myself, where I was having some hip pain bugging me for a bit. And I was running and jogging and I was out doing it. And I was doing it with relaxation. I was doing it with outcome independence. I was, going and just taking it easy and settling into the run and being relaxed about it and seeing it as just a stress reaction from my brain. But what I wasn't doing is I noticed one day I was running very tepidly, very timidly. I was not taking the full weight onto my leg. I could notice I was coming off of it very softly. I wasn't pushing off as much as I was the other leg. There was almost like a little limp happening there because of the symptoms, because of the pain. And I knew I didn't hurt myself. I knew I had no damage to that area. I didn't do anything to cause any harm. So when I noticed that, I said, wow, okay, you know what I need to do is I'm relaxing. I'm using the other tools. I'm out here doing graded exposure, staying calm, talking to my brain, reminding myself it's fine. But what I wasn't doing was challenging it in this moment physically. Okay, so I'm meaning to take the full weight on it. So I started to take the weight on it completely. I like wanted to take the weight on it, let the weight of the leg come down stronger on it. I pushed off harder off that leg. And what I started to notice is that was a turning point. That was a turning point in that hip starting to improve because I challenged it. It was challenging me. I was getting through it, but it was challenging me. I flipped the challenger. I started challenging it by showing my brain that my leg and my hip was strong, it was healthy, it was normal in a physical way, right? Even though I had symptoms and pain there, I started to do that, and that was causing some improvement. So there's a physical challenge. I also was mentally challenging it because that was a choice to make. I was being challenged in my mind by this, I'm feeling this all the time. So that was a mental choice to make. And I was challenging it because I knew it was fine. I knew this was okay. I knew this was neuroplastic pain. It was not structural pain. And finally, emotionally, you want to challenge this. So what was coming up for me in that moment was fear. We would call that anxiety because there was no true danger, but I could feel the anxiety, and it was infused in the way I was guarding and protecting that leg in a way I was moving. So that indicated some emotion of fear/anxiety. So there's the emotion at play. So I challenged that. Now, again, that is a common word to challenge or face your fear. Okay, remember your fear shows up in your body. Anxiety shows up in your body physically. It's not just a mental thing or something like that. It's an actual physical representation, the anxiety and fear. So show up through your symptoms, contribute to them. So when I started to challenge this thing physically, well, I felt and noticed the fear go up a bit. There was some lingering fear/anxiety there. So that was something I had to work through now. And that was something I allowed to pass. If we talk about it, label that as just anxiety. And that's what that was in my leg. And I let that pass through. I mean, just move through my system to go away. I didn't react to it, stay calm. And I continued to run and push off, equalize my legs, because my legs, I want them the same. Okay. I don't want to give any special treatment. I don't want to be treating this thing because there's nothing wrong. So brings us back to why you want to challenge this thing and flip the challenges, because with these conditions, there's nothing wrong. There was fear, there was anxiety, there was worry, there was concern, there was physical tepidness showing up in my timidness, showing up in my system. That, in my opinion, was keeping my hip from making progress, even though I was doing some very positive things like graded exposure, talking to my brain, relaxing, dealing with this as an emotional issue. It still didn't move the needle enough. So that's why I wanted to tell you guys about flipping the challenge. Challenge it. You're being challenged by this thing. Let's challenge it. As long as we know that there's nothing wrong physically, you've been checked out, the doctors say we don't find anything, or the x-rays and MRIs look clear or look normal for your age, then we can start to really challenge these things, because fear, which again is anxiety when there's no true danger, is one of the more common emotions we see that is driving a lot of people's symptoms in the body. So as you challenge something, you get on your front foot again, you develop strength, you come from empowerment, and that's a really good place to be living from. And that really mitigates and cuts through this anxiety in the system that, again, shows up physically, shows up through symptoms. All right, everybody, let's challenge it. Let's flip the challenge. I challenge you, challenge all of you to flip the challenge here. Start challenging your condition. Start doing more from a place of power, a place of strength, a place that you know you're okay and that you can start to do this. And you might be surprised to see that it might push back on you a bit. You might get some kickback of symptoms for a bit, but you'll see that the system should start to calm down as you are treating yourself like you're normal. You're not fixing anything. We're acting, behaving as if we're fine. And that starts to have an impact on your recovery. All right, everybody, thank you so much. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. It helps the channel to continue to grow. If you're looking for one-to-one support, just go to my website, thepainpt.com. You can sign up for individual consultation or offer group coaching as well, 2 hours a week on Wednesdays each week. So you can sign up for either of those. And I'll continue to put out some information for you guys weekly to help you on the road to your recovery. Take care, everybody.